ETA.
We have spotted Imperial walkers.
As you probably know, that's Hoth from the best movie ever, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. And lucky for you, you can visit it. Though, if you're on the East Coast right now, you basically already have. Finse, Norway, population 10, and surrounding area was the primary shooting location for Hoth. The town itself is tiny, containing not much more than a railway station and a hotel. I hope this doesn't come as a surprise to you, but since all movies are smoke and mirrors, the crew didn't have to venture very far from the town itself to shoot. In fact, the whole post-Wampa amputation scene was shot just behind the hotel. Much like the now very popular Lord of the Rings tours in New Zealand, you can hire a tour guide to take you on a tour of Hoth, or Finse. You can visit such diverse landscapes as the location where Han cut open the Tauntaun to keep Luke warm, or where Luke grappled to the AT-AT, or even better, where the Imperial probe landed. Not the most diverse tour. I guess Lord of the Rings takes it for this one. While they may have shot Empire in Finse, the actual Echo Base, or the closest thing to it, is located 3,000 kilometers to the northwest in Greenland. Welcome to Camp Century, the United States' secret Cold War military city under ice. Is the coolest thing I've ever said. The publicized goal of this project was research, both on living and fighting in the extreme cold, but the actual goal was to have short-range missiles hidden under the ice that could reach the inside of the Soviet Union. This part of the project was called Project Iceworm. With the location decided upon in 1959, construction began a year later, and that construction was a feat of human ingenuity. Roughly 90% of Greenland is covered in a massive ice sheet, 14 times larger than England, and that sheet runs 3,200 meters or 10,500 feet thick at its highest point. In order to begin construction, they sledded hundreds of tons of equipment and prefab buildings across 150 miles or 80 kilometers of ice. They then dug 23 trenches deep into the ice, framed them with metal, and covered them with snow. They built laboratories, dorms, kitchens, a well, a chapel, advanced medical facilities, not to mention the largest deep freeze in the world. To top it all off, the whole thing was powered by a portable nuclear reactor, which they sledded in and installed. Living there actually seems quite lovely, if you can get past the negative 28 degrees Celsius or negative 18 Fahrenheit in the tunnels. They have totally normal looking 60s rooms, Coca-Cola, hot running water, electricity. Here's a guy reading Time magazine. They ski behind ski-doos, have bull barrel riding, and all sorts of fun. If freezing in a windowless bunker is fun, of course. The project was cancelled and the city abandoned in 1966 after the missile plans were deemed impractical and it became unsafe to live there as the ice began to shift. While the Cold War has ended, the Cold War hasn't. As we keep destroying our planet, the Arctic is melting more and more. Out of this increasingly ice-free Arctic grows easier access to oil, rare metals, and shipping routes, and two of the big countries competing for these resources are Russia and my home country of Canada. The Russians have constructed 6 military bases throughout the Arctic, and Putin hopes to bring the level of defense in the Arctic back up to Cold War standards. They are currently putting the finishing touches on their largest one yet, which is located on the island of Alexandra Land. It's supposed to be able to hold 150 soldiers for 18 months independently. This conflict was titled the Colder War by the Moscow Times. Russia plans to start shipping out troops to these military bases starting this year, but possibly the most active frigid military base is Siachen, which is also the world's highest battlefield. Siachen Glacier is located deep within the mountains of divided Kashmir, 12,000 feet or 4,000 meters high. The conflict, which has been under ceasefire since 2003, started back in 1984 when the Indian Army took control of Siachen Glacier, an area not specifically demarcated in the line of control between India and Pakistan. Pakistan has since made several unsuccessful efforts to claim the glacier, but it's the environment, not the combat, that is the biggest killer on the glacier. The two countries are currently in talks to demilitarize the region after an avalanche in 2012 killed 140 Pakistani soldiers. Back in the north, Russia isn't the only country that Canada is feuding with over the Arctic. We also have a bit of a tiff with Denmark. Located between Greenland and Canada is the small, desolate rock of Hans, whose ownership has been hotly contested for over a century. The conflict dates back to 1880. Post-Canadian sovereignty, the British transferred their last remaining Arctic territories to Canada, based on inaccurate 16th century maps, due to which Hans Island was not explicitly transferred. Added to that is the fact that it is located in a channel that divides the two nations, and it's close enough to either side that under international law, both countries have a claim. In the 1930s, the island was ruled in possession of the Danish by the Permanent Court of International Justice, an organization that would soon after dissolve alongside its resolution, proving not permanent. In the 1970s, the two countries held massive maritime border negotiations. And guess what? They forgot about Hans Island. Since, drama has done nothing but increase, and in 2005, Canadian armed forces, alongside our defense minister, landed on Hans Island, built an Inukshuk, and erected the Canadian flag, which upset the Danish because we didn't ask for permission, which seems like the least Canadian thing ever. This super exciting conflict has been dubbed the Whiskey War, a term dating back to 1984, as every time Canadians visit the island, they erect a Canadian flag, leave a bottle of Canadian Club whiskey, and a sign that says, "Welcome to Canada," and when the Danish visit, they take down our flag, put up their own, leave a bottle of Danish schnapps, as well as a sign that says, "Welcome to the Danish island." Now that's a war I could really see myself partaking in. Or maybe just the drinking part. At home, where it's warm. Skull. What do you guys think? Will we ever solve the gripping issue of who owns Hans Island? Does it matter? Does anything matter? Let me know in the comments, and if you want to support my Patreon campaign so I can keep doing these videos more often, that would be awesome. And if you haven't already, be sure to click right on my face to subscribe, or at least think about it.